Great. So welcome to the webinar. Today we'll be talking about AI enabling your business. So a little bit about me. I am Ramprakash and I lead the AI efforts for Zoho Corporation. I have been with the company for close to a decade now. I started off the AI efforts for the company long back, sometime around 2011, early 2012, where it wasn't really called or hyped AI back then. It was known by a lot of terms. It was called probabilistic programming. It was called big data, deriving intelligence from big data, and so on. Now, eventually, a lot of changes happened, and today AI is talked about a lot, and a lot of people are trying to do AI, and there is always a constant fear of missing out, especially in the field of AI. Think about it. You are running a business, and you would have read something about AI in the media, and you want to know how to get AI into your business process so that you can reap the maximum benefit out of it. There's always this constant fear of missing out, especially when we talk about emerging technologies like these. The goal of today's webinar will be to demystify all of that and clearly give you a view on how AI can help you today in your business process. So we'll get going. The notion of traditional intelligence in software, right? So we have been having enterprise software for decades now, and we have had a lot of enterprise software, and there has been a lot of traditional notion of intelligence, right? So software has been termed intelligent probably some 10 years back, by the notion of a scheduled task. Let's say there is a task that runs at every 3 hours once, that runs every 4 hours once. You can pre-configure it, you schedule, you do a set of rules, and then you schedule a task, and that was all called intelligent software. Right? You also had a lot of threshold-based workflows. Remember when you were signing up for some leads, when leads started coming in, and you have a rule set up on your tool, let's say in your CRM, where whenever 10 leads have signed up, then probably run this promotion. Or when a lead has signed up and has done so and so activities, send him this email. Right? So you would configure rules, and that rules would execute as and when such events happen. So a lot of complex ensemble of if and else statements were traditionally called intelligence. Now enter artificial intelligence. What is so different about artificial intelligence that the traditional intelligence didn't have? I would call artificial intelligence as statistics on steroids. We have been using statistics for centuries together. Almost every drug that came into development used a lot of statistical techniques to prove if it is effective or not. So the whole evolution of human being, we have been using statistics. But now we would in fact very funnily call AI is a statistics with marketing team. Right? So if you think about it, all AI concepts have deep roots to statistics. But the only thing that is different from traditional mainstream statistics is that AI uses a lot of past data. It learns from its past data, and then the predictions are being applied. Unlike traditional statistical techniques where you look at the current data and make a prediction or make a determination out of the given data set. But AI also looks at your past data, so it understands a lot of trends. So that, in a nutshell, is what I would call the definition of artificial intelligence. There have been so many variants of it, so many classifications on what it does, supervised, unsupervised, classification, regression, clustering. But let us put all of it aside for now. For now, let us just think about AI as statistics that uses a lot of past data. And this particular artificial intelligence differs over traditional intelligence by the fact that in traditional intelligence, you write your rules. In artificial intelligence, you just feed a ton of past data. The system derives the rule out of itself. So I hope I've set the context on what artificial intelligence is. Now we will see more on how to get it going in your business process. So the first subsection of my talk would be looking at the recent trends in AI and what they mean for you running your business. This is from Niti Aayog's India AI report, which came sometime in 2018. It clearly states it's not just about AI, it's always AI plus X. For example, Zoho as a company has been around for decades. It has been around for, all products have been around for 10 plus years. Now, we are not a startup that just does AI, right? So we are trying to retrofit AI into products and sell those features to customers who have decades of experience with the same product, who know their business much better than an AI feature that was introduced last month, right? So it is not just about AI, it is how well AI integrates with your existing workflows, with your existing business processes, and so on. I would like to share a small story here. It was somewhere around 2014 where it was a very complex AI system back then. Initially, we were all excited about the math. So we cracked the math. We solved it on our language. We made a lot of notes. It was very good to understand the math, right? So this was at the start of the ML team where we started off with the math, and we need to plumb a lot of data pipelines to get things together. Like I said, the products have been around for decades, and traditionally engineering management and product management always cared about code reusability, code extendability, and things like that. But what was totally new sometime in 2014, 2015 was product management should also take care of the kind of data points the product is going to generate so that the product becomes AI and analytics ready. Right? So that story ahead, we started doing AI there. We launched a very beautiful, complex feature powered by AI that did a lot of influence on the product's decision-making system. And we launched the product, and we were all excited, and we were waiting for feedback. We were continuously refreshing our inboxes like throughout the day, throughout the night, because across time zones, we'll have to take care of it. Team was very excited, but for the first week, we never had any feedback, anything from the customer at all. After about 10 days, I think, after about 10 days, there came in an email saying, hey, how do I turn this off? And we were actually not so happy with that feedback, right? So interestingly, during the same point in time, we launched a real small feature, a real small AI feature that we ourselves didn't care about much. We launched it and then we forgot about it. But this feature became our most used AI feature for at least the first 2 years. I'll show you what that is. This is from our low-code development platform, Zoho Creator, where we recommend icons for form names. So whenever you create a form, we recommend a select set of icons from the given thing, right? So this feature was widely used and got raving feedback from all of our customers. In fact, there was somebody who called up and said, I just created a form named California Leads, and your system beautifully recommended the Golden Gate Bridge icon to us. We have never actually seen that before. It wasn't covered in our AI test cases, and the team was very happy about it. That was a big learning to us. Now, if you are somebody who's looking at building AI tools, take this AI plus X mantra to your heart. It's not about how great your AI feature is. It's about how well it integrates into your existing workflow. Even the most trivialist of the trivial icon recommendation can be a harbinger to a lot of things, right? Just give me a second. I am told my video is frozen, so I'll just turn off my video so that. Great. All right. So this is how the whole of the pandemic has been: turn on video, turn off video, you're on mute, etc. But thankfully, we are all able to connect. That is the silver lining of all this bad stuff. Perfect. So let's get going. So AI in your business is coming in to actually do a process automation to decision automation transfer. Let me explain what that is. The last decade, we were all talking about process automation, digitization, and things like that, right? Which essentially means taking out paper forms and automating it and digitizing it so that the records become electronic. Once the records become electronic, it becomes very easy to search. It becomes very easy to do calculations on, to take insights out of it. So data, information. That was the 2000 to 2015, maybe that was the decade where a lot of digitization happened. But now AI is going to do decision automation. Let me walk you through what that is. Let us take an example of inventory management. This is how a traditional warehouse looks like. Think of it like a biscuit factory or an IKEA's warehouse. Just imagine what you would like to. But in a typical warehouse, let us see where AI can help. So initially, it was all about having these records on ledgers, writing notes, and as and when a part of your inventory is shipped, you make notes on the ledger. And as and when new inventory comes in, you make notes. And then that was digitized. You had some variant of ERP for the inventory, and people were, keying in as and when things came in, things went out. The biggest possible automation was barcodes, where you scan in and scan out inventory as and when it came in. Right? But now, with the advent of AI, you can do three powerful things on it, which is going to be OCR, object detection, and forecasting. If it is too much of mumbo jumbo to you, I have explanation coming in the next slide. But again, we are still in process automation. We haven't ventured into decision automation yet. Now, look at this. This is about your OCR, which is optical character recognition. Right? Imagine you have an inventory of, let's say, sports goods, and you want to find out what all Adidas products you have. Barcodes might not really help you because you need to have fed all those information into barcodes. But you have pictures of it, right? That's how e-commerce works, right? You have pictures of everything you have. And here, the first picture you see is something which says when you search for Adidas, it has found an Adidas in the football and an Adidas in the t-shirt. So basically, it is doing an OCR from the list of items you have, and then it is bringing it up for you. The next thing is going to be object recognition, where, of course, you wouldn't be searching a giraffe in your inventory management system, but I think that relates, right? You could probably be searching for a sports shoe. You could probably be searching for a blue jacket, right? Or a red jacket. Now, all of that could come out of your inventory. Again, we are still in process automation, where we have automated this process from paper to computer, and then we have made it digitally searchable, very optimally searchable, and so on. And then you have a forecast algorithm. The forecast, again, when you use AI, it looks at a lot of your past data. It knows how your demand is forecast. It knows before Diwali what would be your demand. On weekdays, what would be your demand? On weekends, what would be your demand? It knows all of your traditional seasonal patterns, and it also knows that your business is growing at 10% every year. So you need to factor that 10% room every year so that you stock enough inventory, right? So the first three things that AI can bring into traditional inventory management is OCR, object detection, and forecasting. But from where does this get on to decision automation? This is where package geometry comes in. So package geometry is a feature that is available in Zoho Inventory that tells you how to ship boxes efficiently so that you can save a lot on shipping costs. Now, generally when you're about to ship something, you probably have a fixed set of bigger boxes, and the cost is per dimension, per weight, etc. And today it is all human judgment on how many boxes to fit into a bigger box. Right? So we have all had the experience of a small nail cutter being shipped in a very big box, right? At least I have had that experience many number of times. But now with techniques like these that employ optimization techniques and computer vision techniques can really tell you how to optimally pack in your boxes so that when you have an integration with your shipping partner, it would be able to send it at a lower cost than sending it in individual boxes, or putting a too heavy box versus two slightly lighter boxes can be cheaper sometimes. So this is where decision automation comes in. Now, your human being might not be able to optimize this to the core. There might be a lot of relaxations in human judgment, especially when trying to save last mile costs. But now, with AI and statistics coming in, it's going to be a real powerful game changer where your decision is automated. Your decision on how to ship, how many boxes to ship, how many small boxes in a big box, all of it is automated just by looking at the dimensions, right? So this is something we have available in our Zoho inventory tool. Now, we started with an example of the decision automation starting, but a lot of AI features will help you in that direction. Generally, when an enterprise or a business is deploying AI, what would be its goals? So broadly, two goals, very straightforward goals. The first one is process optimization, right? So the last case was a clear example for process optimization, where you have a process in which orders come in, you stack them out of the inventory, you take things out of the inventory, and then you put them into boxes and ship. Right now, there is a lack of efficiency in the last process where you are sending different items in different boxes, but now this process is optimized. Think about it anywhere in any business process. There can always be a room for optimization. Think about something like a help desk, right? Think about something like a support desk where support tickets come in, and how well is it distributed across the support engineers? Are you optimally responding to your customers? What takes just 1 day to solve, is it taking 4 days to solve? Right. So process optimization is one broader goal of AI in enterprise software. Next thing, of course, like any digital transformation technique, revenue maximization is the second goal. So now broadly, these are the two goals of AI. Now let me give you more examples from the Zoho Corp suite on how AI can help in process optimization and revenue maximization by doing decision automation. So this is a screenshot from our Zoho Expense mobile app. So anybody who has gone out on a business trip knows how frustrating it is to come back and file all your expenses. You need to have all the receipts, and then you need to scan it, then you need to type the details about it, and you need to upload it. And then there'll be processes in your organization saying how much do you spend on a business dinner, what are the allowed items, what are the not allowed items, and is this under the threshold now that you booked a flight ticket booking, is this under the company's budget? You have a lot of things to do. Now, Zoho Expense is an app that does a lot of these, that does the first step of digitization. Right? So this is where we launched AI features into Zoho Expense, where all you need to do is just click the picture of your receipt. And then it extracts all necessary details out of it, the name of the cafe, your payment mode, the items you ate, the total amount, and probably if there is a tip, then there is a tip. And what category is it for? Is it excess baggage? Is it food expense? And so on. Right? So now you see the power of AI coming in and doing a process optimization here. What was a very laborious process before AI came in is now you just click on it with your camera, you just upload it then and there, and Zoho Expense takes care of the rest. Right? So this is a powerful AI feature that has saved on a lot of time. And here is a screenshot from our CRM where the leads are being scored. Right? So a lot of time can be wasted chasing the wrong leads. It's a mutual waste of time for both your salesperson and the lead you're talking to. But things like these can have a 360-degree view of a customer and see how well is his evaluation coming up, how well is this chance, is the chance of this lead to convert into a customer, right? The AI module actually looks at a lot of information beyond what the user gives you and identifies what his profile would be, and then gives you a prediction score. Now there are two outcomes to it. One is you find out the people who are most likely to convert, and you probably pamper them, you give them what is missing out, and so on. At the same time, you find out people who are less likely to convert, right? Somebody with a prediction score of 50 or 45, as you see in that yellow think somebody who's a cat on the wall, he can either convert or drop, right? So then such cat on the wall leads can be given a treatment with your best sales guys out there, and you can win such leads, right? So like I said, it comes under revenue maximization. Now here is a screen grab from Zoho Desk, the customer support product. You see the sentiment analysis in action here. Now let's say you're a support manager, and the time you log in, you have so many tickets out there waiting for your action. Now, what if you can just filter tickets where your customers are very angry, right? And spend most of your time on it to make them happier. And you can also see the trend in which the sentiment changes. Now, especially in the screen grab here, there comes in a customer who is very angry. The sentiment is negative at the start. It slowly becomes neutral, and it becomes positive at the end of the ticket, which means it's time to pat your back on the support rep who has given an awesome support to this end user. This is the power of AI. This is process optimization. Again, enterprise data can be really complex. It is not very straightforward. You have a lot of details. Even enterprise software, things are changing now. Enterprise software is becoming to look like consumer software. But enterprise software, traditionally, when you hear the word enterprise software, you know that you are looking at a lot of tabs, a lot of icons, a lot of places where you can go fiddle with to get your right answer. Now, this is where conversational interfaces come in. Traditionally, we have had the web interface and the mobile interface. And mobile kind of standard on two operating systems. You had Android and you have iOS. But now the third thing that is coming in is a conversational interface. Now, think about this. If your search is actually tied to a really powerful conversational interface, that makes a lot of things easier for you in your everyday business. Right now, here you can see that somebody is searching for mails from so-and-so that has attachments. Most often, we as human beings remember such things, right? I know this person sent it to me. I know he sent it as an attachment. But what keywords do I go and search it for? So this, not just in your emails, across your business process, right? It can be a lead in CRM. It can be a customer support ticket in Zoho Desk. It can be a candidate that submitted his resume via the recruitment portal. It can be your own payroll. It can be your inventory. It can be anything, right? You have powerful visual search features combined with a conversational interface, then that is real process optimization. Right. So now we saw a few examples on how AI in the Zoho suite is helping us achieve its objectives. Now let us talk about the elephant in the room, privacy. So whenever somebody talks about AI, the first notion that comes in is privacy, right? So again, the reason AI is being very hyped now is because we have abundant amount of data, one. Two, you have awesome data collection capabilities. Think about the smartwatch you are wearing. Nobody was counting your pulse every 10 minutes and storing it on the cloud 10 years back or even 5 years back. But now you have very low, very cost efficient data collection capabilities coupled with Moore's law. So you have very good data processing capabilities. But the third reason for AI to become stronger and stronger is the fact that the consumer world has built a lot of business models around data. Think about it. That search engine you use, you don't pay for it. Instead, you pay with your data. That social network you use, you don't really pay dollars or rupees out of your card on it. You actually pay back with your data so that you are being targeted with relevant ads. Now, this is where a lot of AI came in. Right? I always think of enterprise software having its roots in the consumer world. It has a late mover advantage where it looks at the consumer world, it learns the best practices, it drops out things that are unnecessary, and then it gets filtered. Think about it. The last 5 years back, you didn't have a lot of enterprise mobile apps. You were doing a lot of your mobile work or enterprise work on laptops connected to particular networks, right? But today you have a lot of mobile apps with which you get your enterprise work done. So which means the enterprise world has borrowed the technology of mobile apps from the consumer world, and it is working now. The same thing goes to AI. You have a lot of microphones disguised in the name of smart speakers sitting in your homes and listening to all of your conversations. right? And then showing relevant ads to you, relevant or irrelevant, that doesn't matter, but doesn't it seem intrusive? Now, it can be very serious when you are in the enterprise game. Now, let's say you are deploying AI ML in the medicine world. Now there is a cancer patient, and he is ready to share his data points so that he's given a better treatment, he is given better care, and so on. But now, what if you look at all those data points and start recommending other relevant items to him, or start selling him other items that, knowing his condition, you're trying to sell him stuff, you're trying to overprice that stuff which he needs most. That all becomes really bad. So enterprise AI, your data privacy has to be intact, because in an enterprise your data is wealth. As cliched as the statement might be, data is the new oil. Yes, your data is your wealth. You will have to put it to the best use of it, and there can never be an AI system that is going to be compromising your data privacy. Ever increasing data privacy requirements. Of course, there is very good data privacy awareness in the world right now. Think about Indian Railways, where we had the ID card numbers, ages, and gender being stuck on the coaches before you board. That was all available for the public to read. But now they have better sense prevailed, and all of that is done with. And missing a data privacy requirement by law not only causes monetary loss to you, it also causes a lot of reputational loss to you. Somebody comes to know that there is a data breach or there is a privacy breach in your organization, then he will probably think twice or thrice about having business with you in the future. So this is where the need for an integrated business suite comes in. So Zoho is positioned as the operating system for business, where all of the applications are tied to, and they act as one single entity. And given the ever-increasing geographic rules, it is also important that the data stays in the same geography. For example, this meeting where we are talking is coming in via the data center that is being hosted in India, right? So and across the world we have localized data centers. So privacy is taken care. Your laws are being taken care. And the idea of an integrated suite is really useful for technologies like AI, because AI is something that erodes all data boundaries, right? You don't want to have data in silos for AI to work better. You need to give full access to all of your data points so that your AI model can take a better decision. Think about it. If your AI model is able to look at 360-degree view of a customer, from the time he came in as a lead, how did he convert? What are his support tickets? Where does he need help? Which other features has he not used for which he is paying for? So you can send informal or formal emails to him in such a way that he's going to use it and get the maximum value of money, right? So the idea of an integrated suite goes well with technologies like AI evolving that make your data interesting. So this is a screenshot from our word processor called Zoho Writer, where you see a grammar assistant trying to correct all of your grammar mistakes, possibly confused words thing, and an incorrect adverb placement. The beauty of this lies in the fact that it just doesn't flag that it is wrong. It also tells you why it is wrong, and also gives you a brief explanation on why it has been flagged as wrong. Right? Again, this is from the same word processor, Zoho Writer. You see that it also gives you a subjective score on the right hand side of the screen. It gives you an ease of reading, a readability score, because especially when you're talking to customers, it's important you keep your communication simple and clear, so that things are conveyed very clearly to him. Clear communication has its obvious benefits, and it also gives you very subjective feedback on, let's say you're using a lot of wordy phrases. It does a lot of improper word choices. It does so when I try this, it always says I use a lot of long sentences. I am trying to cut it down, but I hope I'm keeping my sentences short for this webinar. But this is the feedback I always get when I write on Zoho Writer. And it personalizes to the best of you. Now, there is somebody who writes a lot of short sentences, and somebody like me who writes a lot of long sentences connected by and, are connected by and, connected by and. right? So it gets personalized to you as well. Now, the notion of privacy comes in when your stack as such has a suite that takes care of your grammar. Imagine you were to submit your composed email to a third-party browser extension. And it means the browser extension is reading all of your proprietary enterprise data. It's your business secret. You don't want it to share it with one more person. Whereas your enterprise suite runs on an integrated suite and you have this facility in it, that is where the power comes in. Now, we started off with this grammar thing in our word processor. Most of enterprise software is filled with editors. You have customer support desk, you have email, you have a recruitment portal. Now you have editors everywhere. Enterprise software, 80% of enterprise software is getting in input via some form. It can be a form, it can be an editor where people can come and type in, and then it does all its analysis on it. That is just the 20% of it. Right? Now that is being passed on. The word processor, the grammar feature in the word processor is being passed on across all of your apps. Right? Think about it here. Look at it here. You have a note-taking app, and the same grammar engine, which knows your style of communication, your style of writing, is being deployed here to make sure you write properly, even when you're taking notes. Again, the same thing goes for translation. You don't want to translate something to a third-party tool where you are giving out your business secrets to the third-party tool. But here you have it inside your compose window. You have it inside your text editor so that you can translate it right then and there. This again, today at the Zoho Corp suite of products, we have about 15 languages and about 105 language pairs that can translate between each other. So you can communicate to your customers across the globe at ease. Right. Now that you know how AI can help your business process, what all problems can it solve, what are the privacy requirements that it brings on the table, and okay, you've identified all of this, you're all set, you're trying to you have narrowed down on a vendor, you've got your AI tools, or if you're building something, you've built all of it with the right specifications. Now, how do you make it work? How do you make sure AI that you purchased, AI subscription or AI products that you got in, or the AI features you have, is being put to best use by the employees in your organization so that you can extract the maximum juice out of it? The first thing is going to be the case for explanation. Generally, AI, or the way AI has evolved, it doesn't really explain why a particular decision was arrived. Most AI algorithms are black box, right? So we saw that our AI features usage increased up to 75% when we started giving explanations on why that particular decision was taken. Right. So this is a screen grab from our monitoring product, Site 24/7, where we're trying to detect anomaly. Again, when you do anomaly detection using AI, it factors in a lot of stuff. It knows what is normal for a 9 a.m. in the morning. It knows what is normal for a 3 a.m. in the morning. Think about it. A Monday morning 9 a.m. is not the same as a Saturday morning 3 a.m. What traditionally, when you use rules, you would say 10 failed logins per minute on a Monday morning 9 a.m. is an anomaly. Right? It happens that way. People come in on Monday and they probably forget their passwords. They log in a couple of times. It happens to everybody. But the same thing happening on a Saturday morning 3 a.m. means there is a brute force attack, or somebody is trying to brute force your passwords and get into your system. So this can be very time oriented. Your anomaly system has to take care of all of these. And let's say your organization is growing. Let's say it's growing 20% every year, which is a good thing. And your AI system has to factor that 20% growth is not an anomaly. The page load time has surged to 7.5K milliseconds in Amsterdam. This has resulted in a 1.8 time increase in page load from the baseline average 95th percentile value. The baseline value is so and so, and is calculated for the same period between 2 and 3 a.m. over the past 4 weeks. Now, this is what explainable AI looks like. It just doesn't flag it as an anomaly and go away. It tells you why it was flagged as an anomaly. Remember the same thing we saw in the grammar editor. It tells you why it thinks that it is a grammatical error, and also gives you a write-up on how to correct it. because AI on average is 80% right. A very good trained AI model is 80% right. 20% of the time it's wrong, and you as human being know it very better. And this is again for both AI producers and AI consumers. If you're trying to build AI products, the deterministic to probabilistic shift is a huge thing. Traditionally, if you are a programmer and you go to brute force, like you randomly try a lot of things and make your code work, then you're a bad programmer. But a good neural network engineer, a good AI engineer, a good data scientist has to do a lot of probabilistic things. The same way, let's talk about the anomaly case that we saw on the last screen from Site 24/7, the monitoring tool. Let's say the AI module there is capable of predicting outages, right? So you generally have a workflow. Let us forget AI for now. You have a workflow and outages happen, right? So what you do is you intimate the social media team to communicate to the end users on social media feeds. You intimate the network team. You intimate the teams that are involved: the network team, the product team, the engineering team, and so on, to try and fix that issue. Right? You probably have a workflow. Whenever an outage happens, intimate the CEO, intimate the social media team. Do this, do this, do this. The beauty about enterprise software is that when AI is trying to make automated decisions in enterprise software, it's going to be a team or teams of people that are going to act on the decision. Think about it. Your social network recommends a friend, or it recommends something to read. You are the only person who is going to act on it. But your site is being shown that there is a possibility of outage. You're not the only person who is going to act on it. Right? Now, let's say I'm the person acting on it. I cannot just go tell my boss saying, there was an AI alert that came in, so I went and added more servers. That could not be a valid reason. You also need to tell them why it happened. Right? So that is where explanations come in. And let's say the outage prediction module tells you that there is an 80% chance of outage. So now the standard operating procedure is going to be intimate the social media team, intimate all the stakeholders, etc. But when there is a 40% chance of outage, you needn't involve the social media team. Probably you needn't involve your CEO. Right? It's just within the bounds of the technical team to solve it so that nothing explodes. Right? So remember, your standard operating procedure varies on the probability that comes out of your AI system. So this change has to be driven through the organization for better usage of AI, because we are all used to deterministic process, Boolean, yes or no. But now what if there is a 60% yes? What if the lead score is 60? Lead score is 100, he will buy. Lead score is 20, he wouldn't buy. What if the lead score is 50, 60? What if it is 40? Right? You need to know, and the system should explain why the lead score is so and so. Which area is he lagging? Probably the time he used, there was a server bug, and you need to give in all those insights. So now we discussed a lot about how the past trend has been, how AI is going to bring a change, what are the features that are there that can really help in process optimization and revenue maximization. So here we are going to look at future AI trends, and probably we'll cover this in the 10 minutes, and we'll have the last 10 minutes for Q&A, right? So to understand what future trends are happening, we need to go back to the start of the 19th century. And we need to talk about a horse called Clever Hans, who lived in Germany. So this particular horse was owned by a mathematics professor living in Berlin. And the story in the town was that the horse is able to solve mathematical equations. Right? I strongly believe that mathematics is something that has made human beings evolve this much. That is the unique nature of our race that we can do. Think about it. Anything that is a mathematical equation is science. Anything that is not a mathematical equation is a belief. It's a superstition, probably. Right? So math is a holy grail that only humans have cracked. Now, all of a sudden, somebody was telling a horse is doing math. So you ask, what is 7 times 3? It tapped its legs exactly 21 times. You asked, what is 2 times 4? It tapped its legs exactly 8 times. And people started flocking in. And you don't have to worry about social distancing and all that. People started flocking in to look at the horse. And in fact, it got a worldwide attention. There were a group of animal psychologists that flew in from New York to test the animal. They did a lot of things, but the horse answered beautifully. The first thing they did was kick out the owner, the math professor, out of the room because they were wondering if he is probably giving the horse a hint. Apparently, what happened was there was this one particular animal psychologist that blindfolded the horse's eyes and it stopped doing all the math. I will hold you there. A lot of you would have heard this. Correlation is not causation. Correlation is not causation. Right? So think of mathematics as a notion. You say force is equal to mass multiplied by acceleration. F is equal to ma. You can also say m is equal to f by a. You can also say a equal to f by m. Now going back to the story of the horse actually took a lot of visual cues from the audience. Right? When you ask what is 5 times 3, and whenever it is tapping the 15th time, people's eyes glowed with curiosity. They were also excited that the horse would stop. The horse took a lot of visual cues from it and stopped. Right? Not just the owner. Anybody, there are a lot of people in the room. Whenever you reach the answer, people were brimming with energy that the horse was able to get a visual cue of it and stopped tapping its legs. Now, today's AI is built on such things. Mathematics as a notion doesn't imply causation. That is what you see in the F is equal to ma formula. You never know what is causating what here. But if now think about it, an AI system or a 3-year-old, they probably rely a lot on correlation, right? You cry, you get a candy. You call mommy, she comes, right? So it's a lot of correlation, but that is not really causation, right? So the AI community is working towards bringing in causation. There are a lot of efforts that are going on in especially people like Yudia Pearl, who are bringing in a lot of research experience into the causal domain. Especially in enterprise software, causal AI is going to be a game changer. Right? So the traditional notion of mathematics is being amended to bring in the notion of causation. So the first step they did was they said whatever things like Granger's causality. Sorry, that sounds like a buzzword, but the idea of Granger's causality is that whatever happens first is going to causate the next one. Right? So you look at 2 incidents. The first incident is going to causate the second incident. It doesn't work in some cases like the rooster crows and then the sun rises. Right? The rooster crows is not causating sun rising. They are correlated with each other. Whenever the rooster crows, the sun rises. Yes, that is a possibility. But the idea is, let me give you another example. Your shoe size increases as you grow. Or you grow because your shoe size is big. You are tall because your shoe size is big. Now, this is the notion of correlation. You don't know what is causing what. You don't know force is equal to mass multiplied by acceleration or mass is equal to force divided by acceleration. Right? Now things like causal graphs come in where you try to. Now, there can be 2 things that cause a particular thing. There can be a time lag between the effect and the cause. Right? So that itself is an area of research, but I see a lot of future potential for causal AI. The next thing is going to be human in the loop AI. Now, people are talking about artificial general intelligence and things like that, but as on date, we are still very narrow intelligent. That is a module that can identify if it is a cat or dog, cannot identify if it is a male human or a female human. Right? That is the state of AI we are in today. We are very custom built AI modules. What does grammar in English will not be able to do grammar in Tamil, will not be able to do grammar in Hindi, will not be able to do grammar in Spanish. Right? They need separate modules. We are still a long time away from artificial general intelligence. But human in the loop AI can really be a game changer for enterprise software today. Now, let me give you an example. Again, we'll have to go back to 1983 for this. There is this particular Mr. Stanislav Petrov, who was working in the army of the Soviet Union. Soviet Union had a missile detection system, and all of a sudden the system detected 2 incoming missiles from the United States. The system was programmed in such a way that whenever it detects an incoming missile, it fires a response missile, right? But now our man knew the political climate around at that point of time between USSR and the USA, and he overruled the response missile. He stopped the missile. Apparently, he lost his job. But he played a very crucial role in stopping World War III. Right? He knew it was a false alert. He knew the political climate. Let's also look at an online grocer. what is a webinar in 2020 if we don't talk about COVID-19? So this was the time early March, late February, when WHO declared COVID-19 as a pandemic, and like everybody, people in UK were also flocking towards their supermarkets and getting a lot of things, hoarding a lot of things. The model really didn't understand, the AI model for that online grocer really didn't understand why people are buying 6 months of toilet paper in a matter of a week, right? And it started blocking access to legitimate users. Now, what a big burden it would have been, because one time you're denied access, you probably wouldn't come back to that online grocer again, irrespective of it being a pandemic or not. Now, your AI is only as good as the past model it was trained on, and probably you never thought of modeling a health pandemic into your model, right? You never thought of modeling a world war into your model. Fortunately, that is not happening right now, but the health pandemic was not modeled, and a human being would have known it. It is very obvious that the pandemic is going on, people are trying to come in and buy a lot of toilet papers and go, right? So the idea is the human in the loop AI. Your AI becomes maximum powerful when there is a human in the loop, and that is feeding things that are not modeled outside, that is fine-tuning your AI models then and there. The same way, the human can also become more powerful by the inputs from the AI model. Right, so this is what I call human in the loop AI, and enterprise software, at least for the next decade, is going to rely on a lot of human in the loop AI. Human plus AI can really be a superhuman combo. AI cannot individually be, a human cannot have superhuman powers, but AI plus human is going to be superhuman. Now, here is a screenshot from Zoho spreadsheet. Here you have some data points on a support ticket. A lot of us manage everything on spreadsheets, right? Everything from finances to baby's growth to system provisioning in the enterprise and so on. Now, here is a thing where you have a technician, you have a department, and then you have the type in which they do. I hope you can see that data on the screen. Now, here the AI assistant is actually giving you a lot of insights, where it picks the interesting insights from the spreadsheet and shares it with you, right? You see, most frequent SLA violated person, distribution of department, and it also gives you a graphical view so that your data is well represented and you don't miss any information out of your data, right? So again, this is AI helping humans becoming better. It tells you insights which you normally don't see. Now, here is the second screenshot, again from service desk ticket data put in a spreadsheet, and you as a user is asking a question to the system. What percentage of SLA violated is false, right? So the system also gives you the formula. It tells you that I applied this countif formula from these cells to give you the answer you asked. Now look at the power it brings. Sometimes the AI system can misinterpret what you told. Right? You can be a spreadsheet expert, so probably the next time you wouldn't use this conversational agent at all. So this is where human in the loop AI comes in. AI gets a lot of, gives you the insight so that you also get an idea of what is happening. This is also called explainable AI, but broadly that is where human in the loop comes in by giving an explanation. This again is from our BI tool, Zoho Analytics, where it gives you a lot of insights which you naturally don't see when you just look at the raw data points. You see that small deal sizes will have higher win rates, right? So this is the power of AI feeding input to the human and taking it from there. So AI is here to aid and not replace human beings. Right? AI will make better humans. Humans will make better AI. They'll complement each other, but no one is going to replace the other one. So the last thing I want to talk to you about is bringing in low data tech. You don't need bigger data points to train your AI models. A lot of research is going on to train AI with the limited amount of data you have. Especially like these, Catalyst is our Zoho Catalyst is our serverless platform where now we are trying to expose AI to developers. At the same time, you need not want a small grocery vendor that is building on our platform to bring in 500 images of this biscuit packet. Right? Just give me 5 examples. I'll have to expand on that. This is the OCR thing there. This again is exposed to AI being exposed to developers via our Deluge runtime environment, where you can bring in your models by using some pre-trained models that are available in the Zoho suite. Right? So just a parting thought, AI is going to impact everything around us because there's a lot of data everywhere. A lot of intelligence has to be derived from data. So AI will touch all aspects of life, from manufacturing, from health, from education, to everything you do. AI is going to have an impact. Right? Start small. Don't get overwhelmed by. Generally, when people talk about AI, they talk about cancer cure, self-driving cars. No, that icon recommendation is a good place to start. Understand how it works, understand where it works. If you are a bank trying to deploy AI, probably don't put AI into your loan system first. Try putting AI into recruitment. Try putting AI into small aspects of your customer support. And then when you move it to loan management division also, try running a shadow AI. Have humans vet the applications, have AI vet the applications, see what percentage do they match. Where do they have maximum confidence? Where do they have lowest confidence? Let's say for salaried, middle-aged, urban dwellers, your model 85% of the time agrees with the human judgment. For old-aged, rural lenders, rural people who are applying for the loan, your model always is wrong with the human judgment. So now find out, you know where your AI strength is. Now automatically do all the urban, middle-aged, salaried people via AI. And find out where AI doesn't perform. So you do the human part on it, and then automatically the data gets trained and things get better. So that would be my parting thought to you.